Milanisti, we are back for the post-game show. We got John's back, aka Lab Gorilla's back to give his
What's
thoughts
up,
on the
guys?
game. What's going on,
Yeah,
Milanisti? So, apologies. We tried to set up this. I set up this stream earlier to try to give you guys a heads up, but
we're up. We're up. I can see it on YouTube. I can see
we're
it green
finally
light.
up. Yeah, which is fine. Okay, so we are up live. We had some issues on Restream, but we are good to go. All right, so we're back for our post-game analysis of today's game. Well, John, I'll let you start off. Give us your thoughts on the game
Ah, so
overall.
let's go back to the pregame, right? The
Yeah,
pregame, we were shocked by the lineup. We were not expecting that, and all of a sudden, we find out Salamakers is a left back. But the biggest thing I think several of us pointed out was that the roster was identical to basically a purely squad. Uh, all these signings were basically not ready to play, and the concern was in pre-games, in the friendlies that we played, that was not the squad that was playing what we thought was Fonseca ball. These guys were not integrated into that style of football. So my concern was, are these guys ready to play the style of football that we've been seeing in friendlies? And the game started. It looked okay. Nicko, I'm going to call it okay, right? But
fair
it
enough.
looked like there was a moment when Torino said, there's not a lot to these guys. Let's go at them. The moment that these guys decided to attack our defense, it was the moment that I saw the same Milan that I saw last year. Identical Milan to what I saw last year. We were being cut open for fun. Um, There was no defensive cover. Centre backs were being left one on one. Mannion was having to pull off save after save. It really, it's so disappointing, mate. It's so disappointing. And the thing was, I thought Pulisic started okay. I thought he was getting involved in the game quite well. We were breaking. We were when we were breaking play and moving forward. We were doing it quite quickly, but the chances were not being put away. And we know enough about football to know that if you don't take your chances, you get punished. But it was interesting how Torino seemed to, from just in a single moment, they appear to kind of have realized there isn't a lot to this Milan. We can attack them in the same way that we did before, and they will fold. And sure enough, we did. It was a frightening situation. I saw Milan fans after we went 2-0 down. I saw Milan fans walking out of the stadium, man. And you think that is match day one, dude. You
Yeah,
can't be doing that.
the stadium
Really.
got real quiet after 2-0.
Well, I mean, the shock to the system of what did I say? I said pre-match. I said 3-1. Absolutely, absolutely bad. But what I didn't say, obviously, in the pre-game was that I had put money on Milan to lose, and I had put money on Milan to draw. It was the only reason was the lineup that was suggested yesterday by Fonseca when he said that Pavlovic and Reindeers were not ready. At that point, I kind of thought we can't be relying on Jovic, can we? And after this game, I've got to say, Nicko, are we seriously looking at an entire season with Jovic just behind Morata? We really can't be doing that. I mean, let's talk about Okafor later on, I guess, but that's not enough.
Nick, you see, once Morata came on later on in the game, you saw the difference.
It was night and day. It
Night and
was
day.
night and day.
In terms of his pressing, the way he was actually moving around the pitch, his movement off the ball. He had just forget about energy, but just being more technical as a striker. He was dangerous. Even on that offsides, he was in the right place. I mean, he just got caught offsides, but he was dangerous from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he was hungry. You could tell he was hungry, but he knew the movements to make. I mean, there was no comparison to what Jovic was doing. Jovic was He's such a strange player. He's such an odd
Oh,
player.
he gave me. I got upset with him, and I've been really. Was that red card that he picked up last season
Mm,
for
yeah,
that shove behind the back? If you remember,
yeah.
I still haven't forgiven him about that one.
So what was your? I mean, obviously, you
Well, I like
being focused on the defensive side, you would be the one that was most upset.
so these are my thoughts. So our pregame today, I mentioned that this would be a dangerous game, and a lot of other people, podcasters, some other fans would say, well, they lost Juric, right, their previous coach.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the same teams. They don't have the same players, yada yada. Well, and from the beginning, I disagree with them 100%. I didn't agree with anything they said. I said this guy Vanoli, even though he hasn't coached a top level team yet, he's the next wave of like really good Italian coaches. Being that he's Conte's disciple and Inzaghi. He's learned a lot out of those two coaches. He plays a
Hmm.
similar system, that 3-5-2. Tries to copycat exactly what they do with their teams. The only thing that he doesn't have that Inzaghi has is the quality of players.
Yeah.
Right, but we saw that even, and I'll bring it up in a minute. We saw when the game started building in. You saw that they made certain changes within the game. Torino,
Mm, mm.
all right? Because if you remember correctly, let's just stick with the defense for a minute. Let's pick this up. Hold on. Where is it? Not this one. Okay, boom. Perfect example. So we're up. Torino's up 1-0. If everybody remembers, I said when we're in attack, we play 2-2 in the back, right?
Yeah, you
Two,
did.
there's
Yeah.
there's our two center backs, Tamari, Chow,
Yeah.
and those are our two midfielders right here, right? Benny and Loftus Cheeks.
Yeah.
And I said this was going to be an issue because eventually they're going to hit us on a counter. That's what Inter does with us time and time again, right?
Mm.
And I said it, and it happened. It was this play right here. This is it. We lost the ball. This are our two center backs. We got hit with the counter. Who's that? Zapata. And we got
Yeah.
Chow with his the lack of speed that he has, trying to chase him down. They didn't score in this goal because by the time Zapata got the ball, he tried to cross it over to across
Yeah. It
the
was a bad
box.
cross. Yeah.
It was too heavy. It was too much pace
Yeah.
on it. It wasn't the right weight on the pass. It didn't score. But imagine if it was Inter or I don't know, any like a top quality team, like a really good team. They would have put that behind the net,
Yeah.
and that would have changed the complexion of the game. That would have been up. They would have been up 3-0. So there's things like that. That's just one thing, and a lot of friends are like, oh no, Torino's not dangerous. And look at Sosa today, the center back. Remember
Oh
I
yeah.
mentioned him as well.
Mm.
Okay, it's only he's somebody that we should look after. Like he's going to be a talented center back because he came out of nowhere, and he made that great tackle on Morata inside the box that we thought he
Yeah.
was
That
good.
was great. That was. I
Fucking
really.
great. That
Yeah.
takes
No.
skill. That takes skill. That's something
Mm.
that very that takes skill and confidence to pull it off. But on the positive sides, Chow played. I mean, Chow was okay overall. He didn't have a horrible game. Did he make any big mistakes? No. Did he cost
Uh,
us the game?
the
Not
first
really.
goal. The first
Yeah,
goal was
okay.
interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was on the line. He kind of had two left feet on that play. Um,
Yeah.
he's done worse for us.
Yeah.
Tomori did okay. He wasn't terrible. He made some decent plays, some good recoveries, and good, clearances in the box. But unfortunately, the midfield let us down again.
Yeah. I mean, you tell me. What did you think of Ruben Loftus Cheek? I mean,
He
him
has
and
no
Benny.
he
I thought
has
they were
he,
invisible.
he has no place on this team. I can't see where he fits
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
He's not a cam. He's not a midfielder. Even though we thought when he came in, we saw this big, tall,
Yeah, yeah.
physical looking kid. Like, oh, why he's going to be a train wreck? He's going to be mowing people over in Syria, and he's not doing that.
Yeah.
And then we'll take it offensively. I mean, Christ, Pulisic, how many sitters did he miss? He was off his game completely today.
Mm.
Chucky was ineffective.
Chucky was ineffective, actually. In the end, Salamakers ended up on the right, didn't he?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, there were, we saw Liao was being lazy when we didn't have the ball. He was just walking around the pitch again. I noticed it
Mm.
again and again and again. I was waiting
Well,
for him to
Jovic was not tracking back either. I mean, it was like,
Jovic as well. So, and that's another thing too. Fuck, I mean, if you're looking to press the ball, right, like Fonseca wants, and you
yeah,
got
yeah,
players are not willing to move,
yeah.
there's that press is gonna be just throw it out the window. Might as well
Yeah,
not even
exactly. No,
touch
no,
it.
no. You for that press, you can't have that pure that Jovic. You can't have someone who will just go, oh, you've gone past me. Okay, I'll walk now. That
Yeah,
I
you
saw
got
that several times. It was so frustrating to watch. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. What positives would you take, Nico? Can I give you my positives? Right. Positives is that the substitutions made a difference because there were fresh players of a higher quality. But and I do think that once these guys are fit and ready, which I'm not convinced is going to be by next week, by the way, I think it's too early still for these guys to be up in the system. I think they could start to win games, but I don't see at the moment that we are going to be able to have a much better defensive record than last year. At the moment, I have no conviction whatsoever. I think they're going to have to rely again on just scoring more than the opposition, which does not bode well in terms of the overall league position. Maybe the biggest positive is nothing to do with Milan today, is Genoa to Inter 2. Maybe that's the only positive.
that's a positive. And then Futura won today. Their game 2-1.
Nico, you know my opinion pre-game. To have the two youth players be goalkeepers. You know, when that was Nathan's question. What happens when Pulisic needs to come off? What do you do? And we saw it, didn't we? It's a disaster, man. You can't do this. And the thing is, right? We got 8 minutes of extra time. Don't ask me from where, because I genuinely don't know from where. But I'm glad we did because we scored that equalizer. It was a beautiful finish, by the way, by
It
Okafor.
was.
Um, Okafor is demonstrating that he's a really, really good impact player. When players are tired, when defenders are tired, this guy just burns them. I would be definitely interested, and I'm sure he's frustrated that he wants to have starts, and I'm sure in his head he's thinking, I deserve this more than Jovic, and I agree. I think he does. I know some fans will argue that from last season when Jovic started games, he was really not much impact, but let's give him the chance that he deserves. I think the pecking order should be Morata, then Jovic, then Okafor, and then Jovic. That should be the pecking order. It shouldn't be Jovic ahead of Okafor. I really don't see that. Um, Now, another positive. I'm just trying to think of players that when they came on, they did something. Yes, Morata did something, but I've got to say the first two moves were the yellow card, I think, for diving. Then he got, for arguing with the ref, an offside goal. And then that finish was smart. It was really, really smart, actually, I have to say. Um, but yeah, they showed hunger. Nicko, I think, they showed hunger. It finished 2-2. We could have lost that game really easily. Really, really easily.
But we've seen that before. I mean, it's kind of like the same script as last season, where we were down a goal, and then Giroud comes saves our ass, in the 90 plus minute.
No, I mean,
It's we've seen this before.
think of who Okafor came on for. He came on for Calabria. So it was just a desperation move of just flooding the pitch because imagine losing your first home game as Milan manager to Torino with 70,000 fans watching. That's a pretty embarrassing start in front of your so called. I mean, did you see the shots of Ibra and how
I
pissed off he
did.
was? with Moncada. And I can tell you, the Italian media is absolutely blowing up at the moment. There's actual arguments going on, which is, so many people were saying, trust this ownership, trust the process. We've got the players we needed. Like reflected a lot in English speaking media as well, but it's a lot more ferocious in Italy, and you cannot be surprised by that. I think everyone's going to catch a lot of flack here because you have to say it. The 2-2 with Genoa for Inter was an opportunity. We have to take our home games, we have to win them against opponents like Torino. For you to say that you want to be a Serie A champion, you have to win these games. By hook or by crook, you have to win these games. There were moments in that game where we looked completely out of control, Nicko. We looked like we were not the home team. Uh, and those are points where I'm very, very concerned because I saw no difference to what I saw last season. Um, and we need to think really seriously about when the new players are going to be integrated. And I'll tell you something else, Nicko. I cannot wait to see something different on the right back position. I cannot wait. I need someone to show me something other than what Calabria is doing. I'm not happy with what I saw him doing. I can't blame Salamakers for being a left back position, Nicko. As you said it, that's not his position. He doesn't belong there. I've never seen him play there, right? And I was joking. He's going to be ahead of Leao. How many times did you see he was ahead of Leao? He actually was ahead of Leao.
Yeah,
Um,
and that was dangerous as well, and that's on him because there was a few times where Villanova got the ball.
yeah,
Villanova's not he's not a top flight win back. He's a good win back, right? He's not your
he burnt him alive.
he burned Sound Lake at least 2-3 times
Yeah,
on a foot chase. Like yeah, Sound
yeah,
Lakers could not chase him down.
yeah.
So as a player, regardless of what your coach is telling you, right? And I'll tell you from my experience, when I coached my kids, even on a with just 50 parents on the field screaming and yelling, my
Mm,
players couldn't hear my instructions, even when I was trying to use my hands. Now imagine you're in front of 70,000 people and you're trying. There's no way that you're as a player you can hear what your coach is hearing, especially from the other side of the pitch.
yeah,
So in that case, regardless of what you as a player, you need to think on your feet at the moment of the game because the game can change any moment. Something that was planned during pregame. Okay, we're going to play this way. This is what we're going to do when the ball's up the pitch. You're gonna make inverted runs or overlaps, whatever the case is. But when the game is coming and you're seeing once or twice Villanova, you're overcommitting yourself like he did, and you're getting burned. You need to adjust. You need to say, hold the fuck up. Hold on for a minute. If I keep pushing past Leao, Villanova is going to eventually might score on me.
mm-hmm,
So you gotta sit back a little bit. You have to adjust and to his and regardless if that's at his position or not, you need to be smart enough as a player to make that call on the fly.
yeah,
And that's for everybody. And that's the difference between a good player, and then a great player. Great players make adjustments.
yeah. Absolutely, he did not adjust. Well, I think uh, one point is one point, Nico. I don't know how many people will be taking positives out of it. To be honest with you,
I'm sure
I'm
there'll
not
be
taking positives out of that.
there'll be quite a few.
I'm
The,
not
the,
taking positives out of it,
no,
mate. I'm not taking positives because I told you, man. I was looking. I was. What I did not understand was that in the preseason we played a very. There was a consistent style of play, but they were not the players that played today, Nico. And I said, how is he going to put that into those players without a preseason? And sure enough, what we saw was that that style of play has not become it's not become muscle memory. Let's use that term, yeah? It's not become muscle memory for them. So after a while, they reverted back to what they knew, and which is just a complete nonsense. there was a complete nonsense going on all over that squad. The the fact that you had so, I mean, God, Manyan pulled off some incredible saves, Nico.
He did. Yeah, he's back to his old self.
Yeah,
He's on
to
the
keep
top
us in
form
the
right now.
game. So no, something has to happen very, very quickly. And man, I don't know, dude. I mean, I haven't seen the Inter game, so I didn't see how they played. I might later on watch a little bit of maybe the highlights and maybe listen to Uncle Sharma's channel just to listen to how he took his squad, getting a 2-2. Thank you, Messias, by the way. Love you, man. Um, but yeah, I just now I'm gonna be watching for the other teams, you know? I'm gonna be watching for Napoli, I'm gonna be watching for Juventus. I think those are real, and Roma and Atalanta. So those are real work in progress teams. Atalanta because of the serious injuries that they've had before them. But I think the other two are real projects that I think Napoli requires some acquisitions. Juve are still going after a very, very big buy, which
Yeah,
is the
Kobe
big
Miners.
good miners, which could potentially be the record one for this summer for Serie A. But we'll see how those guys start to integrate. I would expect them to start very, very slowly. That's why I thought it was very important for Milan to actually hit the ground running, to try and get some kind of a lead now, in the first few weeks. Because remember this, what is it? Match day 4, match day 5. Who are we playing, Nico? Number 7, mate.
You
Yeah,
know,
we need to sort this shit out, mate. We need to sort this out.
and during the game, I was like, even when we were down 2-0, I was like, do I really want to do a post game about this and point out the same defensive mistakes that I covered way too many times last season? And I was hoping this season, at least the first game against Torino, I'd say, okay, maybe we would look okay. Obviously,
Yeah,
that's not the case, and I'm just trying to gather my thoughts here for a second. Hold on, I got to plug in my laptop. Hold on there.
I do think, Nico, that a lot of the discussion was that our first few games were relatively easy, and so we should be able to ease ourselves in before the Inter games, almost as if we had another preseason. Unfortunately, these teams, as we said, when teams are competitive, when they're going after you, this is not messing around anymore like a preseason friendly. These teams will bite you every opportunity they get. And Torino, as I said, after a while, they figured, hang on, these guys have a soft center. Let's just smash straight through it. The moment they realized there's no difference to what we were doing today to what we did last season, they did it. Now, to our credit, once we flooded the pitch with players, with attacking players later on, out of desperation, Nico. Let's be honest, it
Which
was out of
Pioli,
desperation.
which
When you
Pioli's done in the past as well.
exactly, when you're 2-0 down, you'll just throw everything on, won't you? Especially since you've got so many subs available, you throw everything you can on, and you hope that they can do something. Well, Torino made the mistake of sinking back towards their goal. They just couldn't do anything in terms of going forward. They had nobody to be able to sustain that and keep that ball away from their goal. And to the credit of our players, they kept their cool. And that Okafor finish was beautiful. I'll give them that. So I'll give the players that for that fighting quality. But I have to say, we learned a lot today. We learned a huge amount today. First of all, I'm going to say this, Fonseca does not like the youth. He does not have any interest in integrating the youth. He lied to us. That's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing I'm going to say, when everything goes bad, this team is going to need something to really, they need a leader on that pitch, someone to really grab a hold of them and say, hey, shake yourselves out of it, sort yourselves out, think on your feet. There was nothing there still today. There's not one player on that pitch, Nico, that I would say could grab those players and say, hey, wake up. These guys are coming at you. You're doing nothing about it. Um, that's a problem. That's a big problem. I don't know if Pavlovic is that. I don't know if Fofana is that. I don't know if Morata is that. I
Pavlovic is
don't.
too young.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Morata, I'd say Morata possibly is because he was the captain of Spain.
Yeah.
So I think he has the qualities, right, to do something like that. Pavlovic is too young. Like I said, he's I'm calling him the Serbian Merc. He looks like
Mm,
like a hitman, some kind of bodyguard for the Serbian mafia.
yeah.
Um, we know Tomori's not it. Theo's not it. Calabria's not it. Obviously,
No.
Morata, possible. Fon is too young as well. I don't think he's not. He was even a leader at his former club per se. Um, so I think in that regard, I think we can lean on Morata those things. Second, in terms of what you said about how the difference between preseason and regular season, you're 100% correct on that. Because we everybody was like, "Oh, look how great we're playing! The difference of ball, we're moving the ball around, we're doing all these triangles and diamonds and all these little runs and one two passes." But if you remember, with during the Madrid game,
Mm.
Carlo could care less that they lost their game.
No, he was not bothered at all. Yeah, yeah, he
He
wasn't
could
bothered
care.
at all.
He's like whatever. He's like so you could tell he didn't motivate his players enough. Like let's go in there and beat. Let's go beat up on Milan. You could
But
tell. So
yeah,
and now we saw it today against Torino with a really well coached team, but without the quality of players, they're missing a couple pieces. And I think my prediction is once the season like within a couple games, they're going to be a really dangerous team. I think Torino, if they can stay healthy and quickly adapt to his style of play, right?
mm,
Vagnola, they could maybe compete for a Europa spot.
wow,
I think.
wow,
I mean, who knows? But it's as long as that team lacks the depth. They don't have
yeah,
depth.
yeah,
That's their issue. If they can stay healthy throughout the season and not sustain any big injuries, they can make a run at like top six, top seven. Oh, so we got a new somebody new in the chat. 94 Mass. Is that from Massachusetts? Good live
yeah.
stream, guys. Good points with both. Let's give Torino Performance credit. Championship is a long way ahead. Prepare for a long season. Yeah. And in terms of, I'll try to be a little bit more positive than I usually am. I'm going to give Fonseca some time in terms of the youth. I want to. I'll give him I'll be an apologist for one day for him and say, listen, they really wanted to push for that Copa win against where the other squad they played today. It was important for the team. I don't know, and they wanted to play Liberali and Zarola there.
Ah,
All right, yeah, I know. I sound like certain other podcasters that we know very well, but I'm not going to give them 10. I'm not giving them too much time. Within the next couple games, three this after maybe the second or third or fourth game. Let's say four. If I don't see a difference, if I still see Liberali or they have them on the squad, but they're not being played.
yeah,
They're just there to fill the quota, right? Because that
yeah,
could then I'm gonna get upset. I'm not gonna. Then I'm gonna say today. I will go and I'm gonna call Fonseca a liar as well.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean,
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for one day for today.
well, first of all, I will say pre-season, I am one of those people who said I was impressed with the triangles and the fast passing that Fonseca had got those players to do. I was. Now, I'd say that today I absolutely was in shock to see how rapidly our team, once pressured, collapsed back to the style of last season. But again, I go back to my point. The pre-season, the training that those players were put through was not the squad that played today. And that's a problem. And I always thought, with so many players coming back from their holidays late because they had the Euros, but also the late acquisitions, we were going to have an issue where players would not be ready to play. Now, 94 Mass, I will give Torino the credit they're due. They were very well drilled. They withstood our attacks at the beginning of the game because we were the ones in the ascendancy at the beginning of the game. Once they figured this out, they were very smart and they knew. I mean, their goals were they were nice goals, man. I mean, they
Really,
were.
really nice goals.
If we had scored goals like that, we'd be very happy as well. So the move on the second goal to just end up with a header right in front of the goal was beautiful.
Well, hold on. Let me hold on. I grabbed the
Ah,
screenshot. Hold on. You know me already. You know what I did. Where is it? There it is.
yeah,
The second
yeah.
goal. So we got
Look at that.
Hernandez.
Yeah,
Listen. Like I said, I try to take my Milan glasses off when I analyze these games as much as I can. Um, am I calling out players? Am I calling them that? I'm not saying that they're shit or attacking the players, saying they're terrible players, but this is something we've seen time and time and time again. So
I
things like,
see. I see reindeer. I see Calabria on the left.
yeah, and who do you see here? There's Theo, and this is
Yeah,
Chap
behind. Yeah, yeah,
behind, and that's in a sense that Theo should have picked him up a lot quicker.
yeah.
But there he is with all the time in the world to just place that header in the back of the net.
Yeah. Oh, it was like yeah, but the move leading up to that,
It
very
was
nice, very
very nice.
very
Yeah,
good
they,
drill.
they, they beat us. They took us down that right side.
Yeah,
They got that really nice cross into the box. And
yeah.
Mike, he couldn't do anything.
No, no, no. I don't blame Mike for that at all. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Zapata was like, yeah, thank you.
I think he was just sitting there. He was texting his wife on the phone, his girlfriend, saying, "Hey, for dinner,"
Yeah, yeah.
and he
Oh
scored that
man.
goal. So, listen, and these are the things that I expect our coaching staff, Fonseca, his assistant coach, the guy that I mentioned earlier today, for
Yes.
to get this things fixed. Because according to Transfer Market, he does have a video analyst guy. I think it's the same analyst. Is it either one of his own guys or somebody from last season? So I'm assuming they're watching these games, analyzing these games after the game. His people,
Hmm.
doing their thing, writing up the reports, and prepping for the next game for training to what to work on.
Yeah.
And I expect things like this to be fixed. These things shouldn't happen again and again.
Yeah. No, this should not happen again. Again. I mean, Fonseca did say yesterday in the pre-match. One of the things he said was that this will take time. He said that it's not quite right yet. But then he said, "But I don't want the opposition to know that." And I thought, "You've just said it in a press conference, and I've just heard you say it. Uh, how can you say I'm not going to give?" He actually said, "I'm not going to give my opponents that knowledge." Although, well, you have. So, well done. I mean, but it's obvious, though, isn't it? It is a new coach with a new team, and it's going to take them time to get it going. I get it. Um,
So, John, on that point, we talked about it before we went live, right? So, for all there was a certain portion of the fan base that when they saw the way they played offensively, the team, like if you're going to give credit to Fonseca for having the team play good offensive or with the ball, the movements, right?
yeah,
And that takes time as well. The chemistry to get the spacing, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah,
In the same regard, if you're gonna sit there and tell me, well, the defense, well, that needs to take time. Well, I disagree. And I'm not saying with you, but I'm just in sense for anybody out there to say, well, they need more time in the team. They need to gel. They don't have the right players. Fafan didn't play. Um, maybe Gabi will be better back there with Pavlovic. Like I've suggested in the past, that's a better pairing going
mhm,
forward. You can't sit there as a fan and say, well, oh, offensive, we look great, but we need time for this. No, if you have time with the team, both sides of the game, offensive, defense, should be on the same level.
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
And that's just normal. That's just basic stuff. And
Yeah.
so, because I think it comes down to principles. I think it comes down to what they're teaching them on the pitch. I think they're focusing so much on changing the way they're playing with the ball. I
I
think
agree. I think
he-
that's what it is. They're
he's
focusing everything on one thing. Yeah.
yeah, and just saying, well, which is crazy because to me, do you remember Fonseca's press conference, the first one?
Uh, Barely.
Okay, so there was one portion that I pulled out that I talked about it with Nathan on a pod. He said, "Oh, I looked at the defense. I noticed what the issues were. Now, this is not word for word, but he said he noticed the issues that they had last season under Pioli, and he
Mm.
wants to address it, and he wants the team to be more balanced.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when they talked about signings, at the same time, further down in the interview, he was asked by his midfielders and about his center backs and said, "Oh, I don't see a problem with the players though."
Yes, I do remember this. It struck me as well, Nico. Yes, because he said it's not about the actual personnel. It said it's about the way that they are playing. Without, and he said, I don't want to put any negative aspersions towards Pioli, but with me, they're going to play differently. We don't necessarily need additional personnel to do it
Okay,
better.
so he said that. Okay, so if you're gonna believe what he said, he believed his own words, obviously. You know, I don't think he was lying. But if that's the case, then where's the difference?
Yeah,
Where is it?
no,
I didn't see during preseason when we were playing a bunch of a lot of academy kids,
yeah,
and we're surely not going to see it now. Now we're going to be playing these teams that are well prepped, well schooled teams that play. Most Italian teams play really good defense for the majority, especially they're not very wide open. They play either a mid block or they're going to play low block or they're going to be if we're playing at the Atlanta. They're going to press the fuck out. They're going to press really hard, man to man.
God, Nico, when we meet teams that actually press us, oh my God.
Wait and see. Because and look, did you watch the Madrid game against Atlanta?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see the Super Cup.
All right,
No.
I watched it,
Yeah.
and we got to remember Atlanta was missing players. They're missing Scalvini,
Yeah.
they're missing Scamacca,
That's right.
and somebody else. I can't remember. So they're going in with we're missing two important pieces of
Well, I
the
guess Coop Miners wasn't even selected, right?
and Coop Minor as well as because he's on the trading block. So you're
Yeah.
missing three key pieces of your team that beat Bayer Leverkusen
Yeah.
in the Europa, right? That beat them 3-0 or whatever the score was. Then you're going against a beast of Real Madrid they just added Mbappe. And for the first 60 minutes, almost 50 minutes, Atlanta was actually playing better than Madrid.
I'm not surprised.
And
Yeah.
that's what missing three key players. Imagine because they're well coached.
Yeah.
And so it's not even about so even the personnel. So if you go player for player, you would say Milan might be an edge in certain cases, right?
Mm,
But in this case, Gasperini is such he's one of my favorite coaches, right? And he's
yeah.
how many other people have learned under Gasperini,
Yeah.
consider him his like one of his disciples. There's a
Yeah.
few out there. So with the right coach who's really focusing on defense like Gasperini is and something Fonseca is not, and Pioli wasn't either, you can tell the difference it makes on the pitch. Now, granted, Real Madrid with all their talent finally got to them and broke them down.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. What are you going to do when you have Mbappe running down your path, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham?
I mean, I
Rodri?
did see the highlights. I didn't watch the whole game, but the highlights and Vinicius was having fun, man.
Yeah, eventually that kind of super team, Galacticos, they're going to score goals. There's not
Yeah.
much to do. But
Yeah.
so now imagine Gasperini's team full squad playing against Milan. Do you really think, honestly speaking, and I'll put this for 94 Mass as well, anybody else in the chat, do you think with Gasperini's man-to-man press the way and with his full squad against Fonseca's style of play that doesn't allow Mike to kick it up to go long balls anymore. So how many long balls do we see from Mike today? Very few.
No, yeah.
You're playing in the back. You're playing it out of the back, regardless of what the other team's doing.
Yeah, they would have to be extremely comfortable on the ball to be able to play out from players like that. They're not. They
They're
would get
not.
caught.
They're going to get caught with a team like that, with
Yeah,
Gasparini's team like that. They're going to get caught.
yeah.
So that's what you need to adjust. I mean, I think there was a game. It was I think in the EPL a couple of seasons ago when this was Liverpool was at their peak with their pressing under Klopp, because Klopp's teams used to press really well too when he had
Yeah,
everybody.
of course.
Similar to Gasparini, and I think they played Conte, and I think he played one of Conte's team. Was it Tottenham?
It would be probably.
Yeah, I would say Tottenham. And Klopp was so mad because they kept going long ball, time and time again. They wouldn't they wouldn't allow Liverpool to press too much.
Yeah.
And I think I don't remember the final score. And then Klopp came out either during the post game or something. He said, "Were you scared to play out of the back?" And Conte's like, "No, we're not going to play. Why would I play to your strength?
Yeah.
I'm not that stupid."
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're being quite generous there with, but it's fair enough. It's one game, right? It's one game. But my main concern has always been, it's been for weeks the same thing. At the very least, show me youth. At the very least, show me that you are the manager that's going to take off Pulisic and bring on Liberali. Just show me, because Liberali has done nothing wrong. He does not deserve to be. And I don't, Nicko. I told you, and I'll tell anybody. I don't care about the futures project. I don't care about any of that. If you're good enough, you go into the first team. It's as simple as that. That's how I.
Exactly.
Um,
100%.
and so I don't. I think Husney used to say the same thing, which is like everything has to be focused towards the senior men's team. Everything. And if there is someone on that youth team that is a better fit, that can fill a gap, that can do a job better, whether it's CDM, whether it's CAM, or whatever, you put them on and you give them a go. And I mean, to be told Fonseca is the manager that's going to do that job, and then in the first lineup, all we see is two youth players named as goalkeepers, infuriates me, because you openly risked that first home loss, which could easily have been because Torino were clearly very well prepared. You risked that for what? Principles. You openly. So all these players, it doesn't matter when you sign them. You were there. It doesn't matter when you signed them, Nicko, because the transfer window's open until the end of August. So it doesn't matter if it's late. We save a couple of million. Yeah, you save a couple of million, but then you have to make do with what you've got, and you've not been preparing with those players. And this is what you get from that. The next game is going to come up. I'm just gonna look up. I don't know if you know off the top of your head as to who the next fixture is, but I'll check it out now.
No, I was looking at tomorrow's games actually.
I am now going to look at Milan match days, please.
Well, you get to that. Let me go over tomorrow's games for the listeners as well. So it looks like Bologna's playing Udinese, Verona, Napoli, Roma, Calgary, and Lazio, Venezia.
So we've got Parma.
We got Parma. Well,
Parma next Saturday, 5:30. So I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, if we can't win that game comfortably,
Yeah.
so I expect to see differences. And if I right now I'm giving them a pass, like I said, on a lot of things, even though there's. But next week, 100%. If I see the same exact things again and again against Parma of all teams,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say Fonseca out. That's not gonna happen yet. maybe after 8 games, if we're 0-8, God forbid.
Don't.
Or whatever, if we go off to a really poor start. But I think it depends how we lose the games as well too. If we're playing against tough teams and we lose 1-0 and we played good defense for 89 minutes, all right?
That's a good question. There's a good question, Nicko, from Tony.
Well, Tony's back. What would your lineup be for next week? Go ahead.
All right. Take the
it,
team
John.
today. Right. First of all, I'll give you one. Salamanca's out of left back.
That's an easy one, yeah.
Theo goes into left back. Hopefully, another week of fitness training will get him a little bit more ready. I would start 100% Morata and have Okafor ready on standby. I would not start Jovic. I would not touch Jovic. Today, he does this thing where he can score goals, go into patches of scoring goals, but he also looks like the laziest human being you've ever seen on a football pitch sometimes. The other thing I would probably try and do by next week, it would be really nice to actually get the work papers sorted out for
For Royale.
our
Royale.
number 22 Chicken Royale. And
Our next cafe.
yeah, maybe giving him a few minutes just because I want to see. But the biggest thing, Tony, to answer your question from my part, so I would put Theo at left back in that position. I would put Gabia in centre back position, and I would put him next to Tomori because I'm going to guess that Pavlovic is probably not going to be ready. I'd like to see, Chicken Royale at right back. And at right wing, I'm not joking, I'd like to have Salamakers as the starting player. I would like to have Pulisic as cam, Leao left, and start up front with Morata. Those would be my squad. What
And the
about you, Nick?
double pivot? You didn't call
Double
it
pivot would be Benny, right? And I'm not sure if I'd risk him yet. I'm not sure if I would risk Fafana. Um, but I would not put Ruben Loftus-Cheek there,
never
Nico.
again.
No, I wouldn't. I'm sorry to say. No, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all. What am I talking about? I would probably. I don't know who I'd put next to Benny, dude. Because I don't think Fafana's going to be ready, dude.
All right, so yeah, that's a good lineup. I like it, and I think Fofana, if he's fit, should start.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. If he's fit, he should start. Absolutely.
But Hussein just said he just said Benazir, it really isn't really isn't it 2024. Reindeers changed the game. Of course, well, Hussein, Reindeers didn't change the game defensively. Listen, he was brought on for to attack. But in the 90-minute game, if you have Tajani, and I've said this before, he's a defensive liability. Maybe against a team like Parma, you can risk him to play him, right? For the majority of the game, because you're not maybe I don't know Parma's full lineup. I don't know how dangerous they are. I know they have a lot of young players.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I'll have to take a look at that. I know they have a lot of young talent on the team, but I guess in those kind of games you got to choose and pick depending on your opponent. Rangers can play, but for me, let's just say I don't know what Parma's team looks like. For me, my starting lineup would be Theo, Gabia, Samori, Pavlic and then maybe get Pavlic in the game later on, and you could switch Pavlic and put him in the second half, put him in left center back, and put Gabi on the right for his passing range, because he's more comfortable on the ball for those passes up the pitch. And then on the right, let's just say Royale is available. Royale, this is what he can offer for the team. Double pivot, and I say this because it provides more of a defensive shield, especially on that rest defense when when the attack in third. Fofana, Benny, so we can counter press as well. We can win the ball up the pitch more, win those 50-50 duels. Pulisic in the cam, Saelmakers on the right, because he works he actually presses well, and he does like to make tackles and stuff like that, and get the ball back for us.
Hmm.
Morata and Leao.
Yeah, sounds like a good team to me. Sounds like a better team to me than today, more balanced.
Yeah.
Um, to answer your question on Tijani Reindeer and the change that he made, Hussein, Reindeer came on at the 59th minute, right? And we conceded in the 68th minute. So we went 2-0 down 8 minutes after Reindeer came on. He didn't quite change the game. If you look at the movement, and Nicko showed it earlier on, when they came down our left side and they crossed it into the two players that were there were Reindeer and Calabria. You can see number 14 and number 2 right there
This is not it. Hold on.
in the previous image. You had it a second ago.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
There, number 14 and number 2, right? I believe that is Reindeer and that is Calabria.
There's Tajani right there.
Exactly. So they were the two guys right there on that flank that got partly responsible for getting absolutely cooked on that side. Of course, there's an issue here with Theo being so far behind the actual striker. Um, yeah, I don't know. See, Musa is one, Nico. I don't know what your opinion is on him. I'd like to know what your opinion is on him because he seems to have a lot of energy. He seems to be able to have, he's got a great engine on him, but I think at the moment he's making poor decisions. I
He's
think today I joked during the match that for one split second he thought that he was Andrei Shevchenko in the way he took a shot and which flew, and I think it probably missed the stadium. Do you remember that moment when he was like,
yeah.
I don't know. He saw the headlines, I think, and he just got excited and he absolutely spanked that ball and missed it, like forgetting that there was so many players in the box he could have passed it to. Um, but what do you think of Musa, Nico?
So overall, this is I've talked about him before. So under Pioli, obviously he was placed in 20 different positions, wasn't given clear instructions at all, especially during that Roma game. I don't know what he was doing. He was playing like right wing. He was always touching the touch line in that game, if you remember, that second leg.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
which is it was an odd thing. So I partially blame Pioli for that, for
I
setting him down
100% blame Pioli for that. Confused the hell out of the kid, I think.
put him in right back, him causing that late foul, which cost us the game, that game, because
Yeah,
so you kind of ruin the kid's confidence a little bit.
yeah.
But I think I don't know how, maybe with Fonseca and his assistant coaches, he'll have a different relationship with them at first
Mm,
start, and hopefully somebody like Benny Fofana, if they're gonna bring Musa off the bench as a in a double pivot, those two players would take him under his wing and teach him how to play that position better, especially for a defensive side. Able
yeah.
in terms of how to read the game, how to anticipate where the ball is going, how to position yourself. Because a lot of times Musa is not aware where he is on the pitch.
Yes.
And
Yeah, that's something that strikes me. I think often he finds himself and he's like, oh, the ball's gone past me, or I've gone past the ball because I'm so fast.
yeah,
I think he still needs to find that bit of finesse. But today, yeah, Tony, he did put a cross in for Okafor. I think Okafor needs to be given a hell of a lot of credit for the technique and the timing on that to make that cross, to finish that ball. That was a really difficult skill, in my opinion. I'm no expert in this. I never even played as a striker, so uh, I'm no expert at all. But that looked like a really tough skill, and his finish was so clean. Um, but yeah, Musa maybe he's just very raw material at the moment. I can't say any more than that. But I'd say when you're 2-0 down, guys, Fonseca basically pushed the alarm button and just said, bring on as much fitness and as much talent as I've got on that bench. And all of our talent, really, a lot of our talent was on that bench today. So we were able to make a difference in terms of coming back into the game. I would expect us to beat Parma. I'll say that we have to beat Parma. You can't possibly not do that. That would be unacceptable.
And also, anybody in the chat, let's get your thoughts on the Parma game as well. Because I think, like we said, if we can't beat Parma comfortably, at least 2-0, then
Yeah,
we have to start questioning what's happening with Fonseca.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
100%. Because then if we're down, we go to a draw or a loss. Even a draw. Let's say a draw. I don't want to be too negative. Then we played two supposedly weaker teams in our season to start off, and we've gotten only what 2 points out of it.
Mm,
And then you're
yeah,
giving because eventually teams like Juve, I think being that they have, in my opinion, a better coach.
yeah.
Teams like Roma, who fight for their coach, believe in him. Players like Napoli, if Conte can keep his shit together and not lose it and quit on the team early.
That's a big if, Nico.
But say for the sake of the conversation,
Yeah,
he's content. He's like, okay, this is my squad. I'm motivated. I want to take this team Napoli back to the top four.
yeah, yeah. Well, so we got some great points here on the chat. So we got I agree with 94 Mass. I love that comment, which is we must have a clean sheet against Parma. Yeah, actually, I would love to see a clean sheet against Parma. I've got to be honest. I need to look at Parma because they're a legendary. Obviously, they're a legendary club in Italian football. One of the greats in their time. They've had some magnificent players come out of that squad, but I don't know currently what on earth they're up to or how good they are. I think they're probably one of the favourites to be relegated. And now Hussein makes the other great point, which is Chow regression is sad, but I'd sell him before I sell Kalulu. Personally, I agree with that. Always, I've not understood this idea of giving Kalulu to Juventus for 3 million initial fee and with a buyout clause of 14 million plus 3 million bonuses. That actually doesn't mean that we've made 720 million. It actually means that we've made 3 million immediately. We could potentially be giving Juventus a player for 3 million. That makes me sad. Seeing today in the stands Adli next to Kalulu, right behind Ibrahimovic. That made me think something's not right here. I think Kalulu's got a lot more that he can offer this squad, especially compared to what we currently have. I would like him as an option, and I think Chow. You've just got to say it, man. You've just got to say it. It doesn't seem to work. Chow does not seem to work. And I mean, I did see. Very odd, Nico, isn't it? The goal line technology didn't seem to work.
No, they were taking this. They were on their cappuccino break.
Oh yeah, but usually they're on their cappuccino break when we do things like that. On the other side, not when we're conceding goals. When we're conceding goals, they're usually giving them away very quickly. But anyway, they did catch it correctly. That was definitely a goal. And yeah, Chow he's just not. He just doesn't seem to be with it. Yeah, as I said, there's a few days left, couple of weeks left to the end of season. If Kalulu leaves for that amount, I'll be really disappointed. Yes, and the 94 mass, we do historically. What the joke is, if a team needs to find form after a series of losses. Remember last season? Do you remember, Nico? Udinese had not won a single game
I
in
remember
Serie
that
A.
game very clearly. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, come and play Milan, and we'll sort you out. I'm
I,
hoping that's not the case this year, guys. I really hope not.
and
I couldn't stand that. I think we have to hope. Okay, I'll try and be positive. Let's hope for this next week. We beat Parma, clean sheet, and not only that, but on the subs bench we have Zeroli or Liberali available, and maybe they even come on. How about that? We do that, you'll see a
attaboy.
different. You'll see a different human being talking. You'll hear a different person talking. Different gorilla, I should say, not human being.
We're giving you time, Fonseca. We have some faith in you.
This is our way of giving you
Still
time. All
faith.
right.
We still
There
have
you go.
time. No,
Yeah.
we're not Fonseca out yet. My thoughts on Chow. Oh shit, where do I start? So I know there's Chow potentially has a high ceiling, right? But has he showed an ounce of it? No, he hasn't. Okay. His mental
Mm.
mistakes, putting injuries aside, the mental mistakes that he made, those two horrible mistakes he made against Monza back to back within a span of 4 seconds.
Mm.
We lost that last Monza game last season. Just it just makes your head scratch. Think, what is this kid doing? So I don't know what the love is with Shaq, because you see time and time again, people are certain fan base are favoring Chow over Gabia again and again. I don't know what the intention is, where that falls, and they keep throwing these stats like to me saying, well, Chow has a really good high percentage of passing last season. Well, if you look at those stats, that's because most of his those a high percentage, 94%, I think it was. Yeah, they were short passes, John.
Yeah, I thought as much.
All right, so yeah, that doesn't tell you much. So that's so you need to know. So if you're going to sit there and tell me he's a better passer than Gabi because of that stat, that's nonsense.
Mm.
And so Chow, do we keep him for depth? I guess because we need him. If we're getting rid of Kalulu, it seems like he's going to go to Juve or some other club. I'd keep Chow. But realistically, I think I would either try to sell him or loan him out. If the club still has faith in Chow, then the loan we're doing so we'll loan him out just like we loaned out Gabia, and maybe he'll come back a different player.
Mm.
But we'll see. But I'm not convinced by him. First season, I was excited when he first came to us from Germany. Myself and a bunch of us, we were excited about him, his potential on the team. But at the end of the day, it's got to be Gabia and Pavlovic, or Gabia and Tomori, because Tomori and Pavlovic, they're the same type of center back. It just Pavlovic is a more, scarier version of Tomori, in a sense.
Well, I look forward to seeing that, and you've got some really positive feedback here, Nicko. It says Hussein says that your videos opened his eyes to the Chow situation.
Appreciate that, Hussein.
That's take those positives when you get them, Nicko, man. Honestly, yeah, no, that's good. Good post game, man. I think it was good to get that out and have a discussion about it. Let's get ready for the Parma game, then, dude.
Yeah, so Parma won today. They actually tied Fiorentina today, surprisingly. And
Well,
they
yeah.
played well. I was shocked. I mean, I was expecting Fiorentina with that squad to win maybe 1-0, and Parma tied them. Parma actually played pretty well today.
You know what? I'm gonna have a very quick look at the Parma lineup to try and see if I
So
recognize any of
so I
them.
have it right here. So goalkeeper is this guy Suzuki.
Mm.
Right back is Kuliabi. I don't know if that's Kuliabi. Yo-Yo, he's a French player. I don't even know who this guy is. Balog, is
I
there
don't know any of them, dude.
Cercari, Valeri. I think they have a young kid. I don't remember. I remember Parma. They having this young center back, but I don't know if they sold him. That was Sampdoria. Estevez, because they play a 4-2-3-1, similar to us. Estevez, Som as your double pivot. Um, this guy Valentin Melehi, he's Romanian. Yeah, I got Burnaby, Maine, and
Yeah,
Boni up top. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I said he'd be aligned if I knew any of these guys, these players.
yeah. I mean, it's just the point, isn't it? When you look at the Fiorentina squad, Fiorentina got a red card, dude.
Yeah, that kind of ruins the game.
So Pongra, which is actually their centre back, Pongracic got a red card. Just trying to see here at what point he got the red card, because obviously that's really. Let's see at
Timeline.
what time point he got the red
Yeah,
card.
he got it in the 83rd. Oof.
So that's quite late. Okay, okay.
Yeah. When did they score their goal? Parma. Parma scored their goal. I think it was the first one, because Fiorentina tied it in 75th. It was so they were down 1-0.
Hmm.
You know, which I was kind of surprised. And I think it came down to fitness. What me and Nathan pointed out. So
Yeah,
Michael Coyote is the right back for Fiorentina. Really
yeah.
talented kid. He's the guy that a lot of us wanted on Milan.
Isn't it the one that Spurs are looking at?
Yeah,
No. Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
yeah, he's really good. So he didn't even start the game today.
Oh, right.
This kid Pietro Camuso, he's another matter of fact. Camuso is another promising Italian defender. He plays for the U20, Camuso.
Right.
So they got some young talented Italian defenders on their team. Fiorentina.
Well, I'm just looking at corners, possession, total shots, shots on. Actually, Parma were pretty even. 6 shots on target, and Fiorentina had 7. So not bad.
I think even Paresi, you know Fabiano Paresi, the left back,
No.
the wing back, Paresi, the one that we were discussing about possibly getting to backups there.
Let me see if are you pronouncing it funny? Is that why I'm not recognizing the name?
Fabiano Paresi. It's my
Fabiano
New York
Perez.
accent.
Hang on. I've got the line up in front of me
Oh,
as well.
Parisi. Parisi, maybe they pronounce it.
Parisi. Sorry, yeah,
Parisi.
it's yes. Parisi.
Parisi.
Yeah,
Parisi. Parisi. Yeah, he's a left back. He didn't come into the 70th minute of this game
right.
as well. So it looks like Fiorentina didn't go with their strongest lineup either today.
Hmm.
There were two fullbacks didn't start the game. They came in late in the game. They might have changed. They might have even won the game with those two in the game because they're both pretty, attack minded players as well.
Yeah.
Because there was a play when Coyote came late in the game, and he did this skill where he was a defender coming up, and he just did a little touch, and just kind of. It wasn't a sombrero or anything like a flick, but he was a really sweet move that you would say, "Wow, I wish our right back could do something like that."
Yeah. Well. Yeah, that's why Spurs are looking at him. I guess makes
Yeah,
sense.
and it's crazy too. There's some Milanista out there that think Coyote wouldn't be Milan material, by the way, which
No,
that's
well,
just insane. But anyways, looks like I just want to give a shout out to I'm trying to pronounce his name, Tanjun Gaswami. He's new to the chat as well.
yeah. Thank you for the nice comment. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try it. Tanuj. That's what I'm gonna try and say.
Tanuj.
Yeah.
Everybody in the
Yeah,
chat, thanks
94 mass.
for
We
joining.
have to be able to beat Serie B teams, basically, that have just been promoted. We do. We absolutely have to. So, exactly, especially if we say, as Fonseca says, that our objective is to win Serie A. We have to do this. It's
I,
no
I, I,
joke.
I like his confidence.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick peek and then we can end the stream in a minute as well because I know it's getting late for you. So
Yeah.
next we have Parma on the 24th, Lazio and the 31st. Lazio is always a toss up. It's always an interesting game. Even Lazio hasn't been the same. Actually, they were terrible. And then we have the 15th. We have
Venezia.
Venezia, which is so I think the coach that coached today's game, the new coach from the new coach from Torino, he coached Venezia prior.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's match day 5, Nicko, which is Inter.
Oof. Oh.
Yeah. So we've got these 4 games to get ready.
Yeah, to get into form, especially defensively, to get that.
Everyone's fit, everyone's strong, all the players actually starting the match, knowing Fonseca ball, whatever you want to call it, and then because I'm not taking another loss, man. Anyway, let's focus on the next game. Let's take these guys seriously. Champions League starting? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Tony. We're gonna have to look it up. It's I think it starts earlier this year. But yeah, I need to go too. It's quite late. So
John,
Nicko, absolute
yes,
pleasure, and thank you all for
always.
joining in.
Everybody in the chat, thanks for tuning in, and always Forza Milan.
Forza Milan, buonanotte.